This week on Brisbane Health, Danielle has been telling us all about celiac disease. Danielle, can you tell us about how your life's changed since the diagnosis and your diet as well? Do you need to alter your old favourite recipes and things like that?
Yes, I think, the diet has changed quite dramatically. Now it feels routine, but at the time I was diagnosed, it's quite a shock in terms of how strict it is and how it changes the way that you eat. So a normal day for me is fruit and yogurt and like a gluten-free muesli for breakfast. Most lunches are salads, and I have to generally take my own food with me for work, because things like food courts are an absolute nightmare in terms of trying to find something that's strictly truly gluten-free. So that's usually what I do. You have to always have food, I find, on you. So generally take your own snacks or fruit and that with you, just in case you're out and about and you can't find anything that's gluten-free that's safe to eat. Meals of an evening are a bit easier in terms of, so a lot of restaurants do cater for gluten-free, as you know now. So I think, it's a lot easier to eat in formal restaurants, so that's fine. In terms of at home, we cook a variety of meals, and majority of them are gluten-free these days. The whole family will then just, eat gluten-free, other than the breakfast where they're obviously still tied to their Vegemite toast, which they'll still have. But most of our other meals will be gluten-free, because a lot of just your normal traditional meat and vegetables are gluten-free. So it forces you down the traditional cooking at home, with meat and fresh fruit, vegetables, salads. You just have to be careful with the salads. You have to be careful on the dressings. As I said, wheat finds its way into the most unusual places. And then in terms of sweets, that's another area that has to be modified, quite a lot, because a lot of sweets are, usually your puff pastries or your cakes and things like that, which aren't traditionally gluten-free. So there's some fabulous recipes that you can make gluten-free cakes. So my sister made me a beautiful, I think for my last birthday, almond and orange gluten-free cake on almond meal, which is instead of the flour, it's almond meal, which was just amazing. So there's some fabulous recipes once you work it out that you can do. It's just a matter of substituting the wheat flour with the gluten-free flour, which is generally like on a rice or a maize base. So we do that.
What other great substitutes are there for things that have gluten in them?
Rice is used quite a lot. So the pasta, for instance, isn't wheat-based. It is made on a combination of either rice or maize, which is corn. But potato flour, as I mentioned, almond meal. So there's quite a range of substitutes, which I hadn't heard of previously, but have been quite well known to me now in terms of the cooking side of it.
And are they quite easy to find, substitutes?
Yeah. No, most of the your traditional supermarkets that are out there today have an aisle that they dedicate to gluten-free foods, and they will have all of those types of ingredients there and available. So quite surprised until you need to use those aisles. You're probably not even aware of them, but then once they become a regular part of your routine, it's quite amazing the amount of products. And one of the supermarkets has recently just opened up a range of 60 plus new gluten-free products. So the amount of products available, even just in the 18 months that I've been diagnosed, has just increased. So which is fabulous. So I think we're really quite lucky here. I have travelled a bit recently to another country where it wasn't nearly as easy to obtain gluten-free products and ingredients. So I think we're really quite lucky here locally that people have got on board, recognised the need, and are catering for it far better than some countries, I must admit, where it was a bit of a nightmare travelling and trying to find, even in their supermarkets, products that were gluten-free. So.
And what about snacky items? Do they have gluten-free type junk
food
or yummy things?
I'm pleased to advise that they do. So yes, when I need my unhealthy junk food fix, I can find my gluten-free versions of it. Mind you have to shop at the supermarket and have them at home because they're not sort of ones that you can find in vending machines or anything like that. But a number of the name brand supermarkets do have their own gluten-free ranges, and they have done gluten-free equivalents of twisties and things like that. So you can get your muesli bars and snack foods, sweets and things like that in gluten-free, which is good.
And with labelling and things, say on a restaurant menu, is it quite clear? Do you find in Australia, in Queensland, that it's quite clear that you can see your gluten-free options?
Look, most restaurants will actually have gluten-free, as they do vegetarian, labelled, and then when they don't, it's a matter of actually asking them in terms of what are your gluten-free options on the menu. But when eating out, it's actually really quite important to actually be quite specific in terms of asking them a lot of questions in terms of what's in the ingredients, just to make sure that they are strictly gluten-free. So things that are fried, for instance, if you go into a restaurant, they say, oh yes, the chips are gluten-free. You challenge them because it's a case of, unless they have been fried in fresh oil that has never had anything with gluten on it, they're actually not strictly gluten-free. So you actually have to be quite challenging in terms of the staff when you're out and eating at restaurants, just to make sure that it is fully gluten-free. I've walked out of restaurants, so if you don't feel comfortable and you don't get the answers that you need, then I've actually walked out. I think it's far safer to do that than just to sit there and have a reaction. So
that's right. Thank you so much, Daniele, for coming in and speaking with me today. If you'd like further information on the topics discussed today, please visit the Brisbane Health webpage on www.31.com.au. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. On next week's show, we'll be discussing the benefits of volunteering. See you next time.